Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Welcome back to another episode of the TGIF Podcast. Thank God it's footy. A little hiatus last week with a busy week on the cards for yourself. Unfortunately, not a successful trip over.
Not a successful trip
on the footy field or off the footy field at the Pokies.
No, worthwhile either way.
Yeah.
Very, very happy that I managed to get over there. Absolutely stoked. Spent the plane ride back with all the Warriors, and called out Chans while I was on the plane. So I think that was probably the highlight of the weekend. I wouldn't say called him out. I would say said a cheeky comment and then freaked out. Would probably be more what it was, but in my head I definitely called him out. And then also booed when the flight attendant set up the wires when we landed in Auckland, and was definitely the only one that did that. So
rocking the full Tigers gear, you got to be
only took Tigers gear. So you know I was in strife once I got onto that plane and saw all those Warriors there. But 2 on the trot now, two losses on the bounce after 2 wins in a row. After a bit of a hiding there Saturday night up against the Broncos. So not the best at the moment in Tiger Town. Back up to Suncorp again this weekend up against the Dolphins. So hopefully we can turn the favours around a wee bit.
No, you got Newcastle this weekend.
We do too. Yeah, we do. I do.
Rematch.
That's
round
right.
One
That's
rematch.
right. Round 1 rematch. We do have that first up. Yeah. So hopefully we can turn it around. They were pretty poor last night up against the Doggies.
Yeah, look, whether or not they were really poor, the Doggies were really good. 5-0 for the Doggies, hell of a start.
Knights were poor, but Doggies were definitely good. But
last 3
Doggies were missing
times,
some players as well.
a team has gone 5-0 to start the season. They've made the grand final, so good signs for Doggies fans. Can't say too many after the early season performances. Will be tipping, maybe not tipping against. I think everyone still deep down thinks it's going to be a Melbourne Penrith rematch should Nathan Cleary stay fit. But yeah, look, Penrith another loss, looking like they might have some work on the cards to get in that top 4. So
in the bottom 4 already, the only team not to win a game in Aussie this year, which is
that's
quite a weird
crazy stat. Crazy stat.
But them and the Roosters down there in that bottom 4 at the moment, which probably there wouldn't have been too many people picking. But yeah, definitely a little bit of work for the Panthers to do. But there was some pretty tasty looking games there over the weekend, and we've got you a little team of the week. Now, starting off in that fullback position, you can't really go past him at the moment. He's top of the WM leaderboard. Probably would have been paying big bucks, I would imagine, at the start of the year to win the WM, Jai Gray.
Oh yeah, probably maxed out odds. But close to it, surely.
But yeah, it's top of the WM. I think he's now ahead by 3-4 points possibly after the weekend.
Yeah, what did he get the full 6?
Is he on 18?
Or did he just get? Because I think he was already on 14, ahead by 1 or 2.
He might be on 18 now, I think.
Okay, so pretty handy performance, picking up 4 points there. Obviously huge for South in their big win in the old classic rivalry there up against the Roosters. Huge performance. We've gone for the 2 T-men on the wings, Tamale and Murray Taulagi. Huge performances for Canberra and North Queensland as well. Going to 2 wins now on the trot for the Cowboys.
2 wins for the Cowboys after that pretty poor start to the season there. And Tamale having a pretty good breakout season here. It meant we've had to move Zachy Lomax out into that centre spot there.
Yeah, look, technically he was named at centre. Obviously we saw him laying up on the wing to start, probably moved into about halfback by the end of the game
probably
for
played
Parramatta there.
Yeah, definitely halfback when it came to Golden Point there, situated right in there behind the back of the ruck. But yeah, It was always going to be that way. I thought it was either going to be Zachy Lomax or it was going to be Gutho. We saw Gutho in the first half tear the Eels to shreds, and then it was Lomax who took the cake home at the end of the day and joined there by young Purdue, the other centre there.
Huge performance for the Cowboys there, young Jackson Purdue. Cam Munster and Isaiah Katoa in the halves, huge performances. Their respective teams both piling on the points.
Dolphins.
Instrumental there. Dolphins picking up their first win.
Yeah,
Shout out Katoa
just
and
after
Christian
the Eels,
Wolf.
straight after the Eels game. Eels jump off the bottom of the table. Then
the two new coaches picking up their first 2 wins.
Dolphins had to go out there and spoil the party for them. But yeah, Katoa, a good game, and then Munster, pretty integral in that domination of Manly.
Yeah, Melbourne were all over Manly there. Obviously, a couple of late tries for Manly made it look slightly prettier, but
a couple of very good tries as well. One there that with Ola Kawadu, wow, just one of the most outrageous runs I've ever seen. But yeah, two very good performances there to finish off your back lineup there. Moving into those forwards, Junior Bolo and Daniel Saifiti there, your two props.
Yep, huge. Bolo, I thought, up against the Dragons there. Led from the front, which is obviously what Parra needed to get their first win, and Saifiti as well. Pretty much same story for the Dolphins really in their first one. Harry Grant locks down in the middle at hooker. Pretty much same story as Munster really, just front and centre of ripping apart.
Quite a few tries there.
Rookie there,
Harry Grant. But yeah, had a really awesome game, and then. Jacob Preston and Hudson Young there, your two second rows, two very good performances. Jacob Preston, I thought he was awesome in that game last night there to finish off the round, and Hudson Young, we know what he can do, and had a really good game there for Canberra.
100%, yeah, could be the back row pairing for the Blues potentially, depending on the way Laurie Daly sees things. But two really good informed back rowers there. Kurt Mann rounds it out. I believe it was his 200th
game. Yep.
Yeah, so shout out to him. Tough as guts.
Up against
as
his
always.
old team as well.
Drew Blood, I believe.
Yep, Drew Blood. Yep.
Which is obviously a common sight, particularly nowadays. You think back to his Melbourne Storm and Dragons games. Maybe a few more games spent out in the backs. But nowadays he's up there
in the
doing
middle.
the tough stuff. Yep. Number 13 on his back, or maybe 14, whatever he's rocking. But he's in there doing tough shit.
And we couldn't miss him out there.
Scored a meaty as well.
Got himself a meaty in the big game exactly, and the win there up against his old team. So he would have been pretty happy with that, I'm sure. But that is your team of the week for this week. We move on into round 6 now. 5 rounds down already. It's kind of zooming on past us. And kicking off Friday night, we have your Dragons up against the Titans, who were on the other end of that big win there for the Dolphins, and probably shocked a few, I'd say, the way that the Titans had been playing, and obviously Dolphins without a win going into last weekend.
Yeah, Gold Coast, they've picked up a couple of good wins, really.
They've looked good.
Yeah, particularly up against the Roosters. Who else have they beaten in recent weeks? Who did they play last week?
Not sure off the top of my head, but
the week before, obviously not.
The backs are looking good, and we've always said that they've got that pretty lethal forward pack there. So, a bit of a shock there in that game up against the Dolphins, and then obviously your Dragons there going down in a bit of Golden Point heartbreak. So 2 teams looking to avenge last week's losses, and 2 teams looking to push on and head back towards that top 8.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's 2 teams that not too many would be tipping for top 8. So it's a huge game for both sides really to Yeah, keeping the hunt really this early on. Gold Coast will be wanting a turnaround, get back on the form we'd seen from them the weeks prior to this loss here, and Dragons, after showing some impressive signs beating Melbourne, to fall to para the next week is just pretty typical really of a side that just doesn't have the consistency needed. But hoping that this can kickstart another run for the Dragons, because we do have a really good record over the Titans. 20-11 all time, 10-5 at home, which includes 6-0 in the Gong. This one down in Wollongong this weekend, this Friday night.
It's a good little omen.
It's a bit of a fortress for us. Hoping, we can keep that rolling. 2 wins last year up against the Titans. Obviously, they've improved bucket loads since then, but 4 of the last 5 as well for the Dragons in this one. So it's a fixture we seem to get up for. Whether or not it was Ben Hunt loving a trip to Queensland, loving a game against a Queensland side, really showing what he can do, angling for that move that he did finally get. We'll see come Friday night, but I think the Dragons will be up, as you said, to avenge that loss from last week. But so will Desi and the Titans. I'm sure they've got an ambush on their mind.
Yeah, like you said before, it's definitely going to be it's a big one sort of for both.
It's hard to pick, really. I mean, obviously the home advantage means the Dragons could get up, but man for man, Gold Coast, if they all play well, you probably might some might argue they've got a stronger side there on paper, so should be a good game come Friday night.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. They do have the better team there on paper, but we definitely saw them fall away in that game up against the Finns. So they're going to have to put in a better performance than what they did there on the weekend, that's for sure.
Perhaps Tino's got a big decision on his mind around Samoa. Hopefully he doesn't get it out of the way before this game this week. They can hopefully just play in our favour, and the big man's mind can be elsewhere.
Yep, fingers crossed for all the Dragons fans out there that is the case come Friday. Moving into Sunday, last game of the round. Never really a big fan of those last games.
I mean, with daylight savings, is it daylight savings? Oh, but daylight savings in Aussie.
They both hit over the weekend, I believe.
I was going to say at worst, I think they might be 1 week later.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure
these will kick in on Saturday night, surely.
I think it was still 2 hours.
So are we back to 4 and 6 kickoffs? Or are we still 6 and 8?
I think possibly still 6 and 8. I'm not too sure. I know, obviously, last night's there was 8 o'clock. But yeah, Tigers travelled to Newcastle there. A repeat of Game 1 there, as we said before. Of Game 1, Round 1. Now, couple of big losses, as we said. Well, one very dubious loss last week, and then the big loss on the weekend. And the Knights giving up a clean sheet there up against the Doggies. So again, like this Dragons game, 2 teams who will be looking to avenge the weekend's results. And the Tigers with a little bit of added bite into it, trying to avenge that Round 1 loss that they had there.
Yeah, look, it shapes up to be a pretty good game. Obviously, the Tigers haven't picked up a win against Newcastle in a while now. 7 straight outings. Newcastle have picked up the win, but really didn't show much at all last night. Whether the Doggies are just that solid defensively. I think the Tigers have also shown, ironically enough, off a 48-point performance conceded, quite a lot defensively. Obviously ran the best the first 3 rounds there. Look, to be honest, as pretty much as always the case with Newcastle there, it's how Kalen Pong is feeling on the night. The crowd gets behind him. He could be hard to stop. But the Tigers have shown, shitloads of improvement this year. They've at least become a tough side to beat, if anything. couple of good wins there. Obviously, Parramatta side that in hindsight didn't really offer much on the day. But yeah, look, 48-24 probably doesn't tell the full picture. As we were saying before, it was a really good first half there. Reynolds slotting the 2-point field goal right on the buzzer
there, yep.
to take the lead into halftime, 2 points there. But the Tigers really hung in first half, and then second half for like a little period there. There was a couple of tries in the sin bin, and that just sort of fell away a little bit.
Just a couple of
and
early
then
tries.
Another couple of late tries to make the scoreline really ugly as well. But overall, not all that bad. Look, you go up against Brisbane in Brisbane. Unless you're gunning for the premiership, you're probably not banking on too many wins.
You're not expecting to score more tries than them in one of the halves, I don't think. And I think we can be pretty stoked with that first half performance. I would have liked to see us stay in the game for a little bit longer.
I guess as well, no Luai. You see the difference between having.
I don't even know if we can go off that. I think
when you look at the fact Brisbane have just about 600 games of experience in the halves.
Yeah, even saying that though, I think Fanu played amazing. To be fair, I thought
he's a handy player.
He had a really good game. So I don't even know if we can go off. I thought Terrell May probably had a quieter game than what he had been. He also didn't play as many minutes as he did the week before. So it's tough. There's a few things you can go into there. You miss your 3 conversions on your first 3 tries. That's never going to help. That sort of knocks the confidence a little bit there. I think at one stage we were 12 all possibly. There 3 tries to 2. So. That's always makes it a little bit tougher. But yeah, that Knights team, after not managing to score any points there last night and not really offering anything at all, they will definitely be looking to bounce back. So it's going to be tough. They'll be after 2 from 2 this year up against the Tigers. So and another away game for us, back-to-back away games. So hopefully we can come back home next week there with an extra 2 points in the bag.
To be fair, you've only won away games this year, haven't you? You've lost your 2 home games.
Para and Dolphins, yeah, you're right.
Both away games. So Luai back in the side off of his ban. Look, Newcastle at home, they'll be tough, but yeah. I think it'll be a very good game. I think the key, as I said, lays in Ponga. If he has himself a game, I think it'll be hard to stop. But yeah, the Tigers have been hanging in there at the very worst this season. So should Terrell May come fired up, Jerome Luai comes back from his ban with a point to prove, we could be looking at a 3rd away victory for the Tigers this early in the season, which compared to previous years, is pretty good going. But we shall see come Sunday. I think the more pressing matter is Wednesday's quarterfinal up against Real Madrid that the Arsenal have.
After
what are we looking at? About 36 hours away.
Yeah, particularly after the draw there Sunday morning up against Everton and Liverpool dropping points and not being able to capitalise on it. We can, for those that were still thinking there was that slight hope that we could win the league, I think that is definitely done and dusted now. And all attention has to be turned to the Champions League, and we need to see a performance where we look good going forward. We're going to have to go in there and get some goals on this one.
Yeah, most definitely, especially with old mate Gabriel going down, limping off. He's on the surgery table.
Yep, out for the season.
Out for the season. Hopefully he'll be back for the start of next season. But when they start throwing that around, that gets you kind of worried that he won't be there to start. It might be a lengthy sort of, what are we looking at? Yeah, 6-month injury there. If he's getting surgery involved. But look, it was a timely return for Saka. Obviously scoring in the 2-1 win over Fulham there. What turned out to be the winner. Real Madrid at home. It's going to have to be as you said, big attacking performance. Get some goals in the bank. They haven't been going great the last 5 games there at Real Madrid. 4 draws, maybe 3 draws and a defeat in there, with the 1 win over, I think it was Leganes. So whether they're also maybe just waiting for this one, we'll have to wait and see.
Possibly a good time to come up against them then, if they're sort of fallen out of form.
2 draws in the last 5 that have gotten them through aggregate on results in the Spanish Cup and Champions League, respectively. But yeah, look, a good time to take them on. I'm not sure how they're sitting lineup wise in terms of injuries and whatnot, but they'll always have a pretty OP team out there, you think?
Yeah, it's always a pretty stacked lineup there, that Galacticos team. Only ever come up against them once before, going back all the way to 2006, beating them 1-0, knocking them out. Thierry Henry there before moving to Barcelona the end of that season.
Yeah, I think he ended up scoring quite a few goals against old Real Madrid, particularly at the Bernabeu. But yeah, started off with a very famous goal that quarterfinals. Did you already say that?
Yeah,
quarterfinals. Yeah. Obviously en route to that infamous 2006 final for all Arsenal fans there. But yeah, obviously a good record. We've never lost to them in official competition. I think we've played a couple of pre-season games here and there over the year. Yeah,
a couple of Emirates Cup performances.
Both rocking the Fly Emirates on the jersey, but yeah, it should be a huge game. Obviously, both teams will want this. I'm not sure how they're sat in their league.
I think Barcelona are in the lead at the moment. Real second, Atleti third. I think it's still fairly close.
But regardless, they'll always be, I guess, emphasising this tournament. It's their favourite, 15 or 16 now.
15, I think.
15-time champs. Yeah. Probably the toughest hurdle left, though, would you say? Who are the other quarterfinals?
Bayern
are tough.
Bayern, Dortmund.
I don't think they're as good as
Barca.
Real. Yeah.
Inter.
Yeah, fuck. It's just worrying because every other team is a great striker except us.
Yeah. Villa, PSG.
Yeah.
Those are your other quarterfinals there. So all eyes there come Wednesday morning, whether or not we can, like you said, bank those home goals and then head over to the Bernabeu and try and knock them out again.
Repeat history.
Yeah.
What are we? 19 years later.
It'd be
good omen.
Be very, very cool to see. I think if we could do that. Now, after 8 weeks on the trot, with no wins in the Premier League, failing to win his first 8 games in his return, Stephen Bunting manages to win there Friday morning, beating Humphreys along the way, and went out there this morning, International Darts Open there in Riesa, came up against the Asp there in the final, and I believe actually that's, I think of memory he might have played Aspinall on Friday morning's Premier League final as well. But up against the Asp, yeah, I think that's right. 2 finals back to back. Bunting up against Aspinall, and he won again there this morning. So obviously that sort of that kickstart there that he needed to find a little bit of form,
because he'd been pretty shit before then, hadn't
he? Since he'd come into the Premier League, he'd sort of fallen off. Obviously,
not won very many games.
Had a very good season last year. Went out there and won the World Masters.
Qualified for the Premier League.
Got into the Premier League after a real good season, and then for 8 weeks on the trot, no wins and some good averages, but kind of getting pumped, 6-1, 6-2, things like that. So Awesome to see Bunting sort of getting back on that winning train there. And now looks really weird because he's still sitting dead bottom of the Premier League, but the most important stat there on the table is points, obviously. But I think the next most is nights won, and there's 4 players there sitting above him that haven't won a night yet. So it shows, that the sort of the level there in the Premier League is pretty top notch, and even the best players can obviously have those off days. We didn't see Littler involved in any knockouts there. Actually, did he play over the week? He may not have played over the weekend. It might have been another weekend that he had off. But I believe we have Premier League action this Friday morning, and then I believe over the weekend, I think it was one of the European Tour events, possibly like a Belgian Darts Open, something along those lines. So no hopes. We haven't seen him really go too well recently there in any qualifiers, but he did manage a little run. I want to say last 32 of a Players Championship recently, so a little bit more money. I think sort of hovering around that sort of 83, 84 mark there on the order of merit. So a little bit of work to do to sort of crack into that top 64 before the end of the year, I believe, or sort of end of the World Champs starting next year. So to try and keep that tour card there for another couple of years. Probably wraps us up though for another week. So as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Remember to get involved in all your socials. Give us a like, give us a 5-star, give us a comment. Enjoy your week ahead. Enjoy whatever sports you may be getting involved with. If you're having a punt, do it responsibly, and hopefully we'll see you here next week.
Yeah, sounds good to me. We'll see you then. Ciao.
Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win.